Down to business.
When he drinks, he thinks.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the number one liquid-fueled, liquid lubricated show on the interwebs. This is the Whiskey Musings Broadcast. But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm done. I've had it. I'm finished with the whiskey. Tonight, I am just drinking clear, cool, crisp water. That's tonight. That's tonight's drink is water, okay? So do not ask me to go back to the whiskey. I'm done. I am off alcohol forever. Now, what the hell am I doing? I can't kid you guys. Of course I'm drinking. Right here, this is what I've got for tonight is the Basil Hayden Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey for tonight. April Fools to everybody, which realistically we don't. we really don't need to celebrate April Fools anymore because we've got a group of fools in our lives that are everywhere today and every day. What a freaking nightmare of a world we are in. That is literally what's going on. And I've got a couple of different fools out there. I've got some good stories for you, or some good articles, I should say, for you. We also have a little bit of the, I also have a little bit of an announcement to make. Not really, I mean, it's nothing really super excited, but anyway, so let me go ahead and take my first sip of the evening. As you can see, I've got the Basil Hayden in the glass with the stones that have become sort of my trademark for this. And here we go. I had this whole thing planned. If you were able to talk to Mrs. Whiskey, you could ask her. I was trying to come up with all kinds of ways to mess with you folks tonight because it is April Fools. It is April 1st. And for anybody that follows me on social media, obviously I posted something about the idiots that are running around out here, trying to lead this country, quote unquote. But anyway, I don't know. It's just such a mess. I can't even imagine. We've got DAs in New York that won't prosecute real crimes, but go after our beloved former president of the United States and soon to be president number 47 in the United States. Of course, Donald Trump. I got some on that, and I've got a couple other things. But before I get into all of that, of course, I need to tell you about tonight's sponsor. Affiliate, sponsor, whatever you want to call them. This is the Institute on the Constitution, which was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one mission: to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.whiskeymusings.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is IOTC, phonetically spelled. That's India, Oscar, Tango, Charlie, .whiskeymusings.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.whiskeymusings.online. Or if you want to just purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show. Go to constitution.whiskeymusings.online. This is a fabulous keepsake item. It comes in about 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather. The paper inside is water resistant, and check out this, as soon as I can get it open, check out this binding. It is stitched. It goes all the way through the leather, and the paper goes all the way through. They have a 100-year warranty on this product for both defects in materials as well as workmanship. So if this thing falls apart, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will go ahead and either fix it or replace it for free. Also, this is buddy tested, buddy approved, nice rounded corners up here. He calls that out in the chat almost every single time. And I can also tell you that my youngest Whiskey Musings Broadcast fan got one of these for Christmas and is using it to learn about our wonderful Constitution and our founding. This is absolutely fantastic. Go to constitution.whiskeymusings.online to get dropped right to the page where you can purchase one of these. I believe it's like $19. And it is absolutely fantastic, and I do appreciate that. But if you don't want to get that, just head on over to the Institute on the Constitution and go and check them out today. Thank you very much to the IOTC for allowing me to be a affiliate for them. I do appreciate that. They are absolutely a fantastic organization for a nonprofit. And also, by the way, I'm seeing that Buddy apparently has branded his. You know, I should probably do that with mine. I actually have a branding iron that I use to like brand my steaks with when I'm barbecuing that I got several years ago for a birthday gift. And yeah, so that is awesome. Plus, I also understand, I'm looking back here, I also understand, thank you, Based Interactive. That is Tim from the Booze and News with Tim and Dutt show. Thank you very much, Based Interactive. I do appreciate the $5 Rumble Rant. That is fantastic. I do appreciate that. Absolutely. And no, Day, I didn't miss it. I just wasn't going to call it out right away. Just because I was busy to doing other things. But I do appreciate you trying to tell me about that. I do appreciate that. That is absolutely fantastic. All right. So first things first, excuse me. Let me get rid of this frog in my throat. All right. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is, of course, On This Day in American History. And, of course, on this day in American history for this segment, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. These guys do a fantastic job. They've put together a really thick resource for all things that are America, and they walk you through it on a day-to-day basis, month by month. They have information in between the months. It is just a fabulous book. If you can go and pick one up, that would be great. Yeah, so this is fantastic. All right. Tonight, of course, being April 1st, April Fools, we are going to be reading about the origins of baseball. The beginning of April brings the start of baseball season. Where did the great American pastime come from? Contrary to popular lore, Abner Doubleday did not invent baseball in Cooperstown, New York. Doubleday never claimed to be the inventor, and there is no reliable record connecting him to the game. Who did invent baseball then? Lots of people over many years. It apparently developed from an old English game called rounders, which New Englanders played in colonial days. In rounders, players hit the ball with a bat and ran around bases. Fielders threw the ball at runners, and if hit, A runner who was off base, he was out, a custom known as soaking or plugging the runner. In the early days of the Republic, Americans gradually transformed rounders into a game sometimes called town ball because it was played on town greens in New England, barn ball, baseball, and several other names. Exactly how the game was played varied from place to place. New York City businessman Alexander Cartwright, pictured above, and let me go ahead and show you that photo right there, or that drawing. There he is. All right. He is often called the father of organized baseball. In 1845, he founded the Knickerbocker Baseball Club of New York and wrote a set of rules for the game. Some of the rules were very different from the ones we know today. Pitchers had to throw underhanded. Catching a ball on a first bounce got the batter out, and a team had to score 21 runs, called aces, to win the game. Soldiers in Northern and Southern armies played baseball during the Civil War. Afterward, they took the sport home with them, and Americans went crazy for it. Soon, baseball clubs were forming all over the country, and the game quickly became the national pastime. Well, all I can tell you is it's not my national pastime. And unfortunately, I don't watch sports anymore because of the woke. But hey, that's cool. That is cool. Okay. I prefer soccer, believe it or not. But anyway, so yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of people are like turned off because of the sports, the wokeness of the sports and things like that. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Things seem to be bleak here, folks. They seem to be bleak in our country today. But you know what? I am with Dan Bongino on this. I am long on the U.S. I still believe that we're going to pull this out. And yeah, I really, really hope that things turn around quickly. I just don't know if it's going to be coming anytime soon. But speaking of coming anytime soon, I have a slight announcement to talk to you about. Let me go ahead and show you this. This is actually quite amazing and fantastic all at the same time. I don't know if anybody is aware, but this channel, my producing videos, live stream videos, is coming up on its 3rd anniversary. That's right. The Whiskey Musings broadcast, as it stands today, streamed live first on April 4th of 2020. So here we are in the first part of April in 2023. That means that I have been active for 3 years as of Tuesday. It'll be Tuesday. And why am I announcing this now? Well, pretty simple, because Wednesday will be April 5th, and it will be beyond the 1-year anniversary. So that will technically be the first year in the 4th season or 4th year of the Whiskey Musings broadcast. And all of you are here. I do thank you. Thank you so much for all of this. This is awesome. I thank you very, very much for making this channel. I mean, again, I really appreciate all of my subscribers, no matter where they are. And this is just amazing as far as this goes. I don't have anything really planned special for an anniversary kind of thing, but just because, I just want to reach out to everybody and say thank you very much for doing everything that you do to come here every single time that I do a stream and get active, get involved in the, in the interaction and everything on the chats, and sending me your cat and dog and any other kind of animals for the pet of the week, which was a segment that I started just this past year. Same thing goes for questions for whiskey. I started that just this past year, and you guys are just absolutely fantastic. So I am going to say cheers to all of you for allowing me to keep going in this 3-year span. I think we've got plenty more coming within, well, just keep growing, keep going. And yeah, this will just be awesome for this. So thank you very much. And do me a favor though, do not go back to the first video, because believe me, it is just absolutely horrible. When you compare it to what I am today, I have grown so much. I have upgraded my equipment. I've changed my format. I've done so many things. And of course, that is all due to all of you and your feedback and everything else. So this is just, yeah, don't go back and watch that first video. It's absolutely horrible. As you can see, there's only 57 views on the damn thing on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, the commie bastards went and freaking suspended me again, this time for 2 weeks, because this was my second strike. This is my second strike, and I fully expect that if they ever look at any of my other ones, it's just, I did not have 101 subscribers. Buddy made a comment. Oh shoot, I gotta find it. Where is it? Buddy makes a comment, how are 109 subs for the first show? No, that is what I have over on YouTube right now, which actually I think a bunch of them are crossovers, because for a while there, Rumble was not sending out notifications. But anyway, the point being is that it's because of all of you that I am still doing what I am doing today. And I do appreciate that for all of you. So this, third year anniversary is just as much for you guys as it is for me. Just saying, because if it weren't for you, then obviously this wouldn't even be a show. And I would be basically speaking into an echo chamber. But yeah, so that's 3 years of doing this stuff. And I'm hoping to keep going and keep doing it more and more. All right. Let me get on to the meat and potatoes of the program. So obviously I want to talk about some fools tonight. First up is our first fool and basement dummy, the commander-in-chief, unfortunately, for this great country. He doesn't even deserve it, but whatever. For whatever reason, he's in it, and that's just the way that it is for the moment. Hopefully that's not going to be the same for 2024. And I know that all of you are going to get out and start to definitely push, for Trump. I know all of you are. But that being said, we still have to kind of take a look at this Joker. Sensing a theme here, fool and joker. And so this is the guy. I don't know if anybody noticed, but he actually took a trip out to Mississippi, where they had that EF4 tornado that came through last Saturday and kind of tore everything up. But apparently he can't even freaking read a piece of paper. I mean, let's be honest here. He calls the devastated town of Mississippi Rolling Fork, which is the proper name for the town. He calls it by its not even close to its name, Rolling Stone. I mean, oh God, I can't leave this guy alone. I cannot leave him alone. I'm not going to play the clip because honestly, I just can't. I can't do it. I cannot do it. He has got to be the worst president of the United States ever. I mean, he even gets it down to, I mean, he puts Carter to shame. He definitely puts Obama to shame. And he's just absolutely horrible. But anyway, he called it Rolling Stone instead of Rolling Fork. You would think the one thing that he's going to have to get right, he would get right. Now, I don't know. I mean, I suppose I'm kind of ripping on him a little bit, maybe a little much, because I know some people who have gone on fantastic journeys from doing all kinds of tours and shows. I mean, I know some artists and entertainers have made mistakes when they've been on the road over and over and over again. But this guy, he just came from Washington, D.C. It's not like he's been on the freaking road and, totally forgot where he was. he just came from Washington, D.C. He headed out there. And I also want to point out, too, that this guy is a complete fool as well because of the fact that he hasn't even been to East Palestine or Palestine. I don't know which way it's pronounced. But anyway, he hasn't even been there yet. And here he is, not saying that there's any difference or there obviously is a difference, but not saying that there's any comparison between Mississippi and East Palestine. But if he's going to show up at one, honestly, he should show up at another. He needs to understand that, first of all, whenever a president goes out like this, all of the entourage that has to go with him, all of the Secret Service, all of the special things that are, have to go into protecting the president is something that he has to go out and, oh, by the way, Sabo says it's pronounced Steen. So Palestine, not Palestine, not like Palestine over in the Middle East, but Palestine. So I guess I'll have to remember that. Thank you, Sabo, for correcting me on that. I do appreciate that. But the really big thing here is the fact that, whenever presidents, I've never been one to necessarily agree with people going to places like this, because if they're not actually going to get literally involved in the what do we say? In the actual cleanup, if he's not actually going to do something physically on the ground there, probably shouldn't even be there, because he's actually getting in the way of rescue efforts, recovery efforts, things of that nature, because of all the additional resources in terms of security and so on and so forth that have to get put into place. So I do know that if I were to ever get elected president, which is my chances are 0 to less than nil, I would not necessarily be going out there to do stuff like this. I would rather send people who are actually going to have boots on the ground and do things, rather than just sending off, going out and doing a speech and doing a photo op, because that's essentially what he's doing. He's just trying to get a photo op in front of the destruction behind him. I mean, shoot, they can do that at the freaking White House with a green screen if they really want, to get him that. But anyway, it's just in my mind kind of disgusting as to sending this guy out and doing that. Well, apparently the people of the United States are starting to sort of wake up. And I only say sort of because realistically, there's still a lot of fools out there. Not just the ones that show up on April, but a lot of the fools that are still out there trying to defend this knucklehead. And this popped here on March 30th. So this was 2 days ago. Apparently his job approval ratings have tumbled once more. And the Washington Examiner, which is where this piece comes from, is saying that it's imperiling his reelection plans. I don't know how imperiling it is actually doing for this, but I can tell you that the poll was taken by the AP. And as you know, the Associated Press is nowhere near being a left or a right-wing organization. They are about as far left as any mainstream media outlet can be, without being just overtly, leftist nut jobs like Politico. That being said, the AP apparently did a poll with the NORC Center, NORC Center. And as a part of that poll, they found, and this is the actual link to the poll. So if you want to go check into the show notes and everything else, you can take a look at that and see where this thing is. You can grab the link. But apparently 38% of the public does approve of how Joe Biden is handling his job as president. Now, see, I'm telling you, even the AP is trying to spin this in a good way. Did you see how that statement went? The statement went 38% of the public approve of how Joe Biden is handling his job as president. Now comes the hard part, down from 45% who said the same last month. So they're trying to hey, 38% did it. And then you read the next line or the next part of the sentence and you realize, well, holy crap, it dropped from 45 to 38. Yeah. Anyway. Oh my gosh. And they have a couple of graphs here, which I've gone ahead and blown up. So take a look at this. And if you take a look, so most Democrats approve of Biden's job performance and handling of the economy, while most Republicans disapprove, according to this AP poll. Well, there's our fools, people. There's our fools. They are the leftist Democrat dweebs and idiots and droogs that are out there that cannot understand exactly what the hell this guy, this knucklehead, is doing to this country. And, everything that he's doing is just completely destroying it. So apparently they asked several questions. The first question was, overall, do you approve or disapprove of the way Joe Biden is handling his job as president? And in that question, that's the top graph there. In that question, they have a 38% and versus 61 approval disapproval rating. Overall. And then, of course, Democrats are a split 76-23. Republicans are a hell of a lot smarter and are showing a 4 to 96, 4% approve. If you're a Republican and you approve of this guy, I really want to know where those 4 Republicans came up. Honestly, because I if you guys are, we need to hit you over the head with a rock or something, because you ain't thinking. If you're Republican and thinks this guy is doing a good job as president, yeah, but maybe that was an April Fool's joke. Maybe those 4 people said, oh, April Fool's is coming up. This thing's going to get announced. And yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, the other 3 questions that were asked is, overall, do you approve or disapprove of the way Joe Biden is handling X? And the 3 X's are 1, the economy, which, of course, in the economy section, you have an overall rating of 31 approve, 68 disapprove. Gee, I wonder where that wonderful economy is coming from by this fool who's in the White House. But of course, as par for the course, there's your other fools. The other fools, the Democrats, are saying 63 to 36% approval, disapproval. And hey, this one's even slightly a little better, probably because it's of the margin of error, but the Republicans are down to a 396 split. I think it's more of a 496 split, just to get the math right. But anyway, yeah, this is just freaking ridiculous. And foreign policy, they have it split 39-60 overall, with 74-25 Democrats and 991 in Republicans. I don't know how this guy on foreign policy, he has been wrong every single freaking time. Do not forget what he did over in Afghanistan. Never forget what he did in Afghanistan. Okay. Oh, hey, that's interesting. So Tommy Young over on Facebook just hit us with a new or write up to the minute broadcast or whatever. Ray Epps apparently is lawyered up and Perkins Coie is representing him. And by the way, Coie is spelled C-O-I-E. So Perkins Coie apparently, but gee, I wonder where I heard that name. Oh, maybe part of the Russian collusion hoax with Hillary Clinton. That's kind of interesting. We're going to have to check that out and watch that. All right. Back to this last category. Apparently on climate change, the Republicans are a little more forgiving. They gave 41% approve. Or sorry, overall it's 41-57, which is a little more forgiving than the other 3 categories. Democrats, of course, say 67-32. I wonder why they've dropped a little bit. Probably because he's not moving fast enough for those Dorcases. I'm trying to keep it clean. And Republicans, now this is another one. Republicans are 17-81. That's really kind of out there. And then they have one other graph that they gave, and the public's view of the direction of the country is more pessimistic. Really? Gee, I wonder why. So Democrats are the blue line. Overalls are in the green. And of course, the red is the Republicans on this graph. And as you'll notice, that very last one from last month to this month, so February to March, actually has taken a complete tumble, 10 points from Democrats. So Democrats are actually even losing confidence in their basement dummy. Overall, it's taken a tumble from 28% to 21%, who view that the overall view of the country is positive. They've dropped. And the Republicans are, of course, they've dropped from double digits down to single digits from 10 to 5. And no 3 Chevy. I do not have any Venn diagrams. So unfortunately, Kamala, if you're watching, there's no need to get excited, sweetheart. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Sorry. Yeah, she's another one. God, I had a whole thing on that. I wish I should have done that. Maybe I should have. Anyway. All right. So that's basically our guy in the White House, or, well, our geriatric supreme poobah idiot in the White House. But hey, let's move on to some of the people who are some of the fools who are following this complete utter moron. And yes, I do call him an utter moron because that is literally what he is. Anyway, so let me go ahead and show you the newest, latest, and greatest with regards to, unfortunately, the very, very horrific thing that happened in Nashville, the Nashville school shooting. Here is the 9, and this is in the Washington Free Beacon. These were the 9 worst media reactions to the Nashville school shooting. Now, if fools come in like all shapes, sizes, types. They are everywhere. And honestly, this one here, I mean, so the mainstream media, this is according to the Washington Free Beacon, the mainstream media reacted in typical fashion to the anti-Christian school shooting, why these people, sorry, I'm going to take a tangent here, why these people are not investigating this as a hate crime, I have literally no idea, because I guarantee you that if it were an African-American school, an Asian school, or even if it were a school filled with transgenders and it was a white person who went and shot, it was a white person, but I mean a white straight person who went and shot this place up, that would be like their call that it needs to be investigated as a hate crime and so on and so forth. But here they don't bother. They don't even bother with it. But anyway, the first thing, of course, here's the 9 worst media reactions to the tragedy in no particular order. First one, of course, on the list is conservative C's, which I don't know if you've ever watched Dan Bongino, but he always talks about, conservatives pounce, conservative C's, conservatives grab onto, whatever other kind of euphemism for, grabbing onto something. And that, of course, is the first thing from it. And so one of the examples was a factually inaccurate. Now, this is the New York Post, which usually doesn't do this stuff, but transgender killer targets Christian school. Now, we don't know yet. Keep in mind, we don't know yet whether or not she actually targeted the Christian school or not. The manifesto has not been released, although it is supposed to be released to the public. We'll see if it actually happens. It's probably going to disappear like the Epstein list, the Epstein little black book. And then, of course, NBC News on this next one, the more blood is going to be shed. Well, NBC News published that and said, fear pervades Tennessee trans community amid focus on Nashville shooter's gender identity, which implied that the Nashville police had caused trans people to live in fear for their safety by disclosing the suspect's gender identity. Yeah. And then, of course, there's GOP bullying to blame. Okay, well, realistically, bullying may have contributed to it. I'm not going to deny that because that's actually one of the 4 common categories across all of these school shooters that has been identified in multiple occasions, multiple places. But the thing about it is that, it's just one of those things where, they immediately jump and say that the Republican bullying is to blame. And then Republicans are complicit in these murders. Folks, look, just going to go back to the same thing. If anybody, even, let's face it, even the guy that went onto the congressional baseball field and shot Steve Scalise is the person responsible. Just because they happen to have an affiliation with or a following with Bernie Sanders does not mean in any way, shape, or form that Bernie Sanders is the person who did it. Bernie Sanders did not make this guy or that person go out and shoot Steve Scalise, no more than anyone who is in the Republican Party or any Christian or any individual directed this person to go and shoot up this school. Okay. This person and all of these people who do this crap, realistically, they all have mental issues. They all have problems. And they, as I said in my last episode, 188, it's time to remove the idea that these people that society is to blame rather than the individual person who is actually going and pulling the trigger. Just, not even so much as, it's time to stop blaming the gun as the tool that's being used for these mentally deranged individuals who are going out and, doing these heinous acts. No more than we even blame like forks, spoons, and knives for making people overweight, or cars for, running people over. It's, that's the thought process by these people. But anyway, another one here, they blame Daily Wire, which again goes back to that same point, or corporate America. That's another one. Corporate America. Let's see, laughing about the ice cream with Sleepy Joe. Now that actually he did laugh, and he was talking about ice cream and so on and so forth. That is just, it's a horrific take regardless. Honestly, they should have cut that out, to be honest with you. But anyway, the point being is that you can't sit here and apply this just to an individual or an individual group or anything else. If somebody even watches this show and God forbid does something horrific, I'm not going to go around. I'm telling you this. I'm putting it on the record right now. I am not going to go and tell somebody to go blow something up. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go tell somebody to go shoot somebody else. It's just not going to happen. So if you're planning on blaming me for something that you decide to take on your own accord and go do, you can just forget about it, as they say in the Northeast or up in Jersey or New York or whatever. All right. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. All right. So enough about that. So let's move on to our lovable number 45 and hopefully number 47. Okay. Number 47. Let's move on to the wonderful charges that we have. Now, this is being driven by a fool, and I'm about to show you what kind of a fool this person is. But yesterday, or actually, I think it was Thursday, it was reported that Donald Trump has been indicted and is going to be arraigned next week. In fact, reports are that he's supposed to show up in New York on Tuesday. We'll see if that actually happens, but that is the case. However, there have been several reports out that Trump faces at least one felony, and CNN actually reported that they heard that there's up to 34 potential charges, is what I've heard. Of course, that number changes depending upon who's doing what, who's saying what, who's reporting what. But the reality of it is that Trump faces at least one felony charge. Now, for those of you that don't know, the felony elections charge, okay, is already been tried in federal court and not tried in federal court, but has already been looked at by federal prosecutors, and they've declined to take the case. So how this will become a federal matter, I don't know. However, this is the thing, is that the original charge of record tampering is essentially a misdemeanor. Now, the reason why they bring it up to a felony, if you recall when I talked about this, actually, I don't think you can look at it on YouTube. So you got to go over to Rumble. I think this was part of episode 187, which was removed by YouTube. But in the way that they would present this as a felony is that they believe that he did it on purpose in order to cover up another crime. And that's how they can get it up to the felony level. All right. But the thing about it is, though, is that, first of all, it's very, very tenuous in the first case, realistically. But he apparently faces at least one felony charge in New York under this indictment. And his lawyer, according to the Epoch Times, says that Trump is not going to take a plea deal, which I don't think he should. But Trump should not be taking a plea deal, and he will not be handcuffed. So in other words, he's going to go up there and he is going to go ahead and surrender himself as appropriately. And so, yeah, so he's going and he's not going to take a plea deal. He's not going to say that he was guilty or anything else. And he's going to go up there, and that's what his lawyer, which is the guy on the left here, in the photograph, obviously, because Trump's not his own lawyer. So anyway, and so that's the big thing here. Now, we already knew this. I mean, we kind of had a feeling, which again goes to my point. Last night, I made a point on Booze and News that Ron DeSantis, even though he said that he would not help extradition, he knew that was not going to be a huge political death sentence for not doing that. And actually, there was very little that Ron was going to be able to do anyway. But he took the safe way out, and he just went ahead and, yeah. So anyway, the point being is that Trump is probably going to show up in court. Like I've pointed out, I think Trump has kind of indicated already that he wants to see this perp walk. He wants people to show or to see this because he wants to exacerbate the idea that this is a political targeting. Okay. And that's essentially what this is. And so, yeah, I agree with him. I mean, it is a total political targeting, but he's using this as an example, to push this. Okay. And, as Jody over on Facebook points out, that the Dems, all they want to do is embarrass him to try and prevent him from running. That tells me everything I need to know. They are afraid. And yes, they are afraid. I agree with you. And by the way, even if he gets convicted, for those of you that don't know, even if he gets convicted of this crime or convicted, and this is the other thing is that the left is really, really pushing, these fools are really, really pushing for, is they are focusing on the fact that he's got other indictments that are coming up as well. Okay. But the other indictments, even if he's convicted for those crimes, so let's say he goes and gets indicted, say, for an example, for election tampering in Florida, or sorry, not Florida, Georgia. So let's say he goes and he gets indicted down there, and then for some magical reason, he ends up being convicted of that crime. Well, they obviously don't know the Constitution. These fools who we live with do not know the Constitution. The Constitution basically states that there are 3 potential reasons as to why a person cannot run for federal office again and be barred from taking that office. One is if they do the insurrection, which is part of the reason why they kept chasing after him and blaming him for January 6th. They were trying to get him on insurrection charges. The other one is, if I recall correctly, it's rebellion, and that they would have to prove it. But the last one, of course, is giving aid and comfort to the enemy in the process of that. And so, yeah, he's not going to get stopped. You can't stop him. It ain't going to happen, folks. He is running for president. He will be running for president for 2024. And so, yeah, again, these fools don't seem to understand the way the laws get applied, in this particular case. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There occasionally are people who, on the left, who go and wake up, and realize that they are in the wrong camp. Occasionally it happens. Okay. So sometimes they take the step from being a fool into just being fooled, meaning ED added on. Okay. And in this particular case, the Washington Post apparently has admitted this with regards to the case against Trump. So the Washington Post wrote an article, and the Post editorial board published an op-ed saying, titled, "The Trump Indictment is a Poor Test Case for Prosecuting a Former President," in which the authors go ahead and cast doubt on the chances that Bragg will be able to carry out a successful prosecution of the former president based on the Stormy Daniels matter. Here's an excerpt of what they wrote. Donald Trump deserves the legal scrutiny he's getting. Okay. Which has come from many corners on many counts. Yet, of the long list of alleged violations, the likely charges on which a grand jury in New York State voted to indict him are perhaps the least compelling. There's cause for concern and caution ahead. Okay. Now, Dershowitz, who is a legal professor emeritus, I've quoted him before here, and they all of the legal experts and legal pundits say that Bragg is actually stretching this charge and really testing a legal theory that is literally just a theory for this. And so it's one of those things that is going to be interesting to watch. However, the reality of it is that in 2018, Michael Cohen wrote a letter to the feds, and I showed this to you guys before, in, I think it was episode 186, maybe, or maybe it was 87. It could have even been 88. My memory is kind of a little lost on this, but, this letter that was sent out, was written by Cohen's attorney at the time. And here's the letter here. I've linked it in the show notes. And here it sends it off to the Federal Elections Commission. Remember what I said, how the charges were basically looked at by the federal government and dropped. But This letter is going from Cohen's lawyer back then, and it basically says that he's writing on behalf, and this is Stephen M. Ryan. I'm writing on behalf of my client, Michael D. Cohen, in response to your letter dated January 30th, 2018. Specifically, this letter responds to complaint number blah, 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 which was filed with the Federal Election Commission by Common Cause and Paul S. Ryan. In private transaction in 2016, before the U.S. presidential election, Mr. Cohen used his own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Ms. Stephanie Clifford, who is Stormy Daniels. Neither the Trump Organization nor the Trump campaign was party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Cohen for the payment indirectly or directly. Contrary to the allegations in the complaint, which are entirely speculative, neither Mr. Cohen nor Essential Consultants LLC made any in-kind contributions to Donald Trump for President, Inc., or any other presidential campaign committee. Mr. Cohen has not been a government employee during any of the relevant time period. The payment in question does not constitute a campaign contribution or expenditure, and therefore the FEC lacks jurisdiction over this matter. The complainants have not and cannot present any evidence to the contrary. Accordingly, the complaint should be dismissed. Please contact me, so on and so forth. Okay, so here's the thing. Michael Cohen was brought up on charges of perjury and put in jail because of charges of perjury. Now, here's the thing. It's not so much whether or not this letter is actually true or not, whether or not the statement contained within it is actually true or not. The entire Bragg case is built on this guy's testimony. He is the star witness for Alvin Bragg's case on this matter. And so what this really boils down to is, again, whether or not this letter is actually true, whether or not what's written in this letter is actually true, doesn't really matter, because what happens here is you've got to look at the credibility of the witness, and his credibility is going to get called into question when they bring this up. The fact that he was convicted under perjury, okay, is another problem. It's really, really tough. It's going to be tough to show that Michael Cohen is now telling the truth versus Michael Cohen back then telling the truth versus Michael Cohen on the stand in front of Congress telling the truth. So we're really, the witnesses are going to be looking at this, and unless they are like 100% completely against Trump, which realistically in a New York City courtroom can definitely happen. It's same thing in Washington, D.C. Okay. But the thing about it is, again, is that this letter is going to show up. I mean, the lawyer for Trump would be stupid not to bring this up for the case. He really, really wouldn't. I'm going to go ahead and blank this out real quick. I got to clear off a couple of things real quick here. And, oh, by the way, and I just closed it, but, oh, by the way, James Comey, you remember him, the FBI fool who not only said that Hillary Clinton likely made did some fraudulent things with her email server, but also said in the same statement that the FBI was not going to recommend indictment for Clinton. Well, when the Trump thing got handed out, he tweeted, "It's a good day." And of course, everybody went nuts over it. But again, he's another fool. He is another one of our April Fools for this, because he's just a despicable human being and has no morals or ethics whatsoever. All right. So one of the claims that's been running around about the Alvin Bragg fool is the fact that he is a George Soros funded DA. Okay. Now listen very carefully to my words. A George Soros funded district attorney. Okay. Notice that statement has literally nothing to do with whether the man has like a interpersonal relationship with George Soros. Notice that that phrase has nothing involved as to whether or not George Soros and Alvin Bragg have actually met each other, shaken hands, drank a beer together. None of that matters. Notice what I said, that Alvin Bragg is a George Soros funded attorney. Okay. Now, that being said, check this out. This comes from the Daily Fetched, although I've seen this in a couple of other places. George Soros apparently put out a statement that he said that it is a right-wing conspiracy theory that he is funding Alvin Bragg. Now, that being said, if you look in the article, and let me see. So he says that he did not fund the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. He says Soros claimed that he doesn't know Bragg. He claims that he did not contribute any money to Bragg or his campaign to become district attorney. And this is, of course, after many GOP members had denounced Bragg as being backed and funded by the military. Now, first of all, Soros has been making hundreds of thousands of dollars of donations to this PAC, which is a political action committee called Color of Change. And that Color of Change PAC endorsed Bragg and actually funded Bragg's candidacy. So look, here we have another fool in the form of George Soros, where he says, no, I didn't fund him. I didn't fund him at all. I don't even know who he is. Well, he's contributed to the PAC that in turn contributed to Bragg's candidacy. So Soros has been making large donations to many Democrat candidates for many years. Most notably left-wing prosecutors here in the recent history, who have been allowing citizens across America to crumble under exploding crime. Open Society Foundations poured at least $35 million into anti-police groups in 2021, according to tax forms, and I'm imagining that's Open Society Foundations is George Soros's group. So yeah, come on, they do a complete. They know exactly what's going on. They've done a complete, linking of money and so on and so forth. It's just, you are a fool if you do not believe that George Soros actually funded Alvin Bragg. Again, he is a Soros-backed, Soros-funded. By backed, I mean he contributed money to the campaign. Now, granted, he did it through a third party, but guess what? Doesn't really matter. He's still funded with that. All right, continuing on with Bragg and his foolishness. I don't know if you recall, but some of the GOP have been saying, especially Jim Jordan has been saying, that he is as the Justice Committee. He's going to take a look into the Bragg situation. And Bragg, of course, immediately came out and said, hey, GOP, this isn't part of your fight. This isn't any of your business. This is a state matter. Well, he kind of stepped in it now. Okay. And how did he step in it? Well, he confirmed that there were federal funds that were used as a part of the Trump probe. So I don't know if anybody really understands this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Here's the thing. If government money is used, and that government money came from an allocation that was set forth by Congress, Congress holds the purse strings. Congress holds the ability to go after and investigate anything with regards to a legislative nature. That is exactly what has happened here is that money has gone to Alvin Bragg. And so therefore, because the money went to Alvin Bragg can now get investigated by Congress and a congressional committee. He absolutely can. And so even though he's been swearing up and down that the GOP have no business focusing on this, well, the House committee can actually do it. And this is the sub-headline here, but Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office revealed to House Republicans on Friday in a letter obtained by Breitbart News that roughly $5,000 in federal funds has gone toward Bragg's office's investigation of former President Donald Trump or the Trump Organization. So once again, here we go, Mr. Fool, Alvin Bragg, saying it's not Congress's business. Guess what? It actually is. And speaking of fools, all of the fools that are out there who are celebrating the fact that Donald Trump got indicted and are saying, oh, you know, people are not going to back a criminal. They're not going to back this guy. So if we can get him on something, that will change everybody's, thought processes. And that's going to change everybody's feelings about him. And he is going to, lose all of his support. Well, Fox News just reported the indictment gives Trump a political boost, but some GOP operatives wonder how long it will last. Well, check this out. Trump apparently hauled in $4 million in fundraising after the announcement that he was being indicted. So don't tell me that people are not going to back a quote unquote criminal. I mean, shoot, the guy that we have in the office right now is potentially a criminal, has been shown to have ties to foreign countries, being paid by those foreign entities and never having registered as a foreign agent, neither him nor his family. And so, yeah, we currently have a criminal in the White House. And so for those of you who are out there thinking that people are not going to back a criminal, guess what? If this keeps going, he's going to be making a lot of money. He's going to be bringing in a lot of stuff. And by the way, everybody who has been talking about, oh, we've got to lock him up. We've got to put him, lock him up and throw away the key. All of the fools that are out there who are talking about this is, the first time somebody's been charged. Now, granted, it's the first time a president has been charged. So let's just be clear about that. However, if you want to know also, too, that several of these fools that are out there are saying, oh, no, this is equal treatment under the law. This is, Trump did the crime. He should do the time and so on and so forth, which, hey, you know what? I am all for. I'll be honest with you. I am one of those people where I literally believe in one set of rules, one standard that is applied equally across the board. Doesn't make a difference who it is or any identifying feature that might be different. They should go directly across the board. It is one standard, one rule set applied equally. Well, this is not one standard, and this is not applied equally because, according to Politico, there's a flashback. Presidential candidate John Edwards was acquitted on a campaign finance charge, and Hillary Clinton, yes, the queen of the fools, Hillary Clinton only paid a fine for a very similar violation that Donald Trump is being indicted for, potentially. Because we actually don't know what the indictment charges are, but this is what the grand jury has been focused on. And Hillary Clinton only paid a fine. Yeah. Tell me how that works out. Fools who believe that there is a justice system that is equal across the board. Period. Yeah. Not the case. All right. So let me clear a couple things off the board here. And, hey, for those of you who are out there who believe that the news media, and I know it's not my whiskey warriors, I know it's not people who watch this program, those of you who actually believe that the mainstream media is reporting equally on all of these things, that they are reporting the truth, that the mainstream media is reporting all of this stuff, and they're doing it equally across the board. Well, I put you into the category of being a fool, because guess what? According to MRC Newsbusters, the mainstream media and all of the networks spent 273 minutes on Trump and absolutely 0 seconds on Biden family corruption. Okay. So the big three, apparently, according to this article, the big three, ABC, CBS, NBC networks, continue to bury the Hunter Biden probe and the growing scandals surrounding the Biden family's corruption. Side note, that is actually why I got my suspension from YouTube, is because I said that the Hunter Biden laptop was the effect on 2020's election. All right. So anyway, again, over 14 days from March 16th to March 30th, ABC, NBC, CBS filled their evening, morning, and Sunday round table shows with over 272 minutes. That equates to 4 hours, 32 minutes, 56 seconds of Trump investigation coverage, compared to absolutely zero seconds on the Biden family corruption stories, even though the Biden family corruption stories are, as of this moment, still true, have never been denied. That none of the information in the laptop has been denied. And in fact, Hunter Biden, as you recall, is suing the shop owner for giving out the content and violating his privacy for that, which of course proves that that's actually his stuff. So anyway, okay. So they spent, 0 seconds on Biden family corruption. Even though, on March 16th, the daughter-in-law, Haley, was shown and proven that she got paid Chinese cash in 2017. Even though Joe Biden keeps denying that the Chinese firm made payments, even though they have the trail, they have the paper trail. Hunter Biden had an FBI mole who tipped off his Chinese business partners. That was another one that was out there. And the VP Biden's office tried to quash a Bloomberg News story on Hunter. Not to mention that this program here, I talked about how the VP's office actually created a statement and for the Hunter Biden Rosemont Seneca Partners interaction with Ukraine, and he basically said that he was he didn't know anything about it, even though obviously he did, because he created the statement. So he obviously knew about the involvement. So anyway, this is ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. All right. So I have a few other articles and I will get to them. No, actually I'm not going to be able to get to them, but I highly encourage you to go to my Rumble and check out the description in the video. There's a few articles, talking about, of course, the lying fools about gun control and all of the narrative with regards to gun control, the lying fools that are talking about the possibility that America is in a munitions crisis, meaning that we're giving so much crap to Ukraine that we're not going to have enough if China decides to invade Taiwan. Also, there's an article from Daily Caller with regards to the Restrict Act not actually doing what they think it's going to do. And then I also have where a Christian college president, this is actually a feel-good story, a Christian college president said that they are not hiring people who endorse critical race theory. That's actually awesome. And then one thing that you do need to be aware of is the fact that there's another group of officials that warned that Social Security is about to become insolvent in 10 years if no legislative action is taken. So that's an article that's in the Washington Examiner. I highly encourage you to check out. But everybody, don't freak, okay? Don't freak. I do have questions for Whiskey, which is part of the reason why I'm not covering those other stories. I have to get to tonight's question for Whiskey. And tonight's question for Whiskey has been submitted by Outlaw Dogs. And Outlaw Dogs writes this. Hi, Whiskey. Douglas Mackey is going to jail for a meme. I thought that memes were digital political cartoons, therefore protected under First Amendment and the free press. So let me go ahead and show you. Oop, I got to make sure that I think I did this. I think I blocked it. Nope, I didn't. I didn't turn it off. All right. So let me go ahead and show you the meme that he is being persecuted for. So this is the meme, basically. And okay, so this guy, yeah, so this is the meme. All right. Now, she also sent me another photo of another meme that was put up by a leftist person on Twitter. And this one apparently is still on Twitter. And so she's asking the question with regards to this scenario is, why is it that this meme got taken to court and obviously convicted in this particular case, and this meme did not? And so here's the thing, okay? So I want you to take a close look at this meme. This is the leftist meme. Yes, they said, hey, Trump supporters, skip the poll lines in 2016 and text in your vote. Text votes are legit, or vote tomorrow on Super Wednesday, which, of course, anybody who is an intelligent individual would know that, no, our elections always happen on a Tuesday, the first Tuesday in November. Okay. So the thing about it is this particular meme is obviously quickly debunked. Just from the standpoint of, understanding a little bit about our elections process. All right. Now, here's the problem, though. Over on this meme, he's actually doing the same thing. This particular meme, which the guy, Douglas Mackey, actually went by the screen name Ricky Vaughn in this. But here's the biggest difference. Okay. If you look back on the lib meme doesn't give you a phone number. It doesn't tell you anything other than saying text votes are legit, which, anybody with a halfway intelligent scenario would understand. They aren't legit, and that kind of stuff. So, this didn't actually give a phone number. Now, supposedly, or what we found out as a part of the trial, is that this meme with the phone number that you see here, the 59925 down here in the bottom corner, that was actually a live number. Okay. That is at the time, that was an actual live number. Now, just posting a meme and saying, hey, go out there and, text your vote in. Okay. But not giving the text number is skirting the line that they actually got this guy on. And here's the thing. It wasn't the fact that he disparaged Hillary Clinton in the memes. It had literally nothing to do with the fact that he was talking about how, whatever he was talking about. Has nothing to do with that. What the trial literally has to deal with was election interference. And the reason why he got charged for election interference is because of the fact that he had this number and that it was an actual live number. It wasn't a joke number. It wasn't a number that if you were to text it, it would have responded back and said, haha, you're a dumbass, whatever. It was a live number, and it was allowing and interacting with people. It wasn't even like it was a number that was out there, that the number itself, that the number itself was accepting calls. And so this is part of the problem, is that it wasn't the meme that got him. Honestly, it wasn't the meme. It was the fact that he actually interfered by saying, number one, vote from home and everything else, text this, and then had a live number to go along with it. If he had not had that live number, and told people, said, hey, vote and text here, if it hadn't been that live number, then he probably would not have gotten convicted because of it. Okay. And that's literally what he got charged with. He's been found guilty on charges of election interference by a federal court in the Eastern District of New York. Now, let me just point out to you that because he was a conservative, and because he did it to the leftist nimrods who are out there, this is essentially why he got charged. And I don't think, again, understandably, we're talking about left-wing New York. Okay. So understanding that, he probably didn't get a very fair trial. So yeah, he essentially, that's why I think it was already a biased jury. The fact that he did it against Hillary, if he'd have done it against Trump, they would have thrown out the charges. I mean, let's be honest. So yeah, realistically, this kind of boils, it's this type of lawsuit that sort of boils into what I call the McDonald's coffee incident, which is essentially if you take a cup of hot coffee and you stick it in between your legs and you burn yourself from that hot coffee, because back then coffee did not come in any other format, but you go ahead and stick that in between your legs and you go ahead and get burnt. That's called the stupid factor. Okay. You were stupid enough to stick it in between your legs. You were stupid enough to know that it was hot coffee. Now, just because of the fact that it was a very hot temperature, okay. And it burnt you. But again, it's hot freaking coffee. Do you go and sue the organization if you go and drink a cup of coffee and burn your mouth? No, you don't. So why anybody would have, the judge seriously should have thrown the McDonald's case out of court. Just honestly should have just said, you know what? You're a complete moron and we're throwing this out because this is ridiculous. This is a frivolous case. It's stupid because you did, you did the stupid action that caused you the pain. But instead, that guy went ahead and did it. And the judge went ahead and allowed it to go to trial and everything else. And she ended up getting a crap ton of money. And in fact, the guy earlier in my conversation, when we were talking about, what was his name? I can't even remember his name, but one of the guys that had to spend out money. But anyway, that being said, that's what this kind of falls into. If you were stupid enough to text Hillary and think that you were casting your vote or your ballot, that's totally freaking ridiculous. Okay. Completely ridiculous. And so, yeah, that's where I think this thing is. And that's why he got convicted. He was in a very friendly court to the Hillary process. If he'd have done this meme to Trump supporters or whatever, they wouldn't have even batted an eye at it. Do I think it's wrong? Yeah, pretty much. Because again, like I said, it falls into that frivolous case deal. But thankfully, I'm hearing that he is going to appeal for it, and he might actually get some traction on that. To be honest with you, but anyway, according to the Assistant U.S. Attorney Turner Buford, his quote was, "This wasn't about changing votes. This was about vaporizing votes, making them disappear." So again, It has nothing to do with the meme. The meme was just the pathway that facilitated essentially his election interference. Now, again, I don't know how you can call this kind of thing election interference, and yet, I don't know how you can call this election interference and yet not call the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop non-election interference. I don't know. But yeah, this is just, this is ridiculous. We've lost common sense. You're right. We've lost common sense. And, Bonnie mentioned it. What happened to common sense? It's gone. Ben Franklin is quoted as saying common sense is not all that common. And that is entirely true. Entirely true. And supposedly there's 71 people watching. Hey, do me a favor. That actually is my final Whiskey Musings thought of the evening, by the way. Do me a favor. If you are watching and do not currently have a Rumble account, sign up. It's free. It's free to sign up, free to follow your chosen channels like this one. Okay. And once you do that too, by the way, you can go and hit that thumbs up sign. You can get all of my, that's a Rumble approval, by the way, for that. And then also you can do things like put in Rumble rants, like what I read at the beginning of the program put in by Based Interactive. And that is a great way to support content creators on the free alternative to YouTube. And I mean free as in free beer and free as in speech and all of that other stuff. So anyway, do me a favor, head on over to Rumble, sign up for an account and hit the follow button, which is the subscribe button. And that we will say goodnight to. We'll see you next time, Wednesday night on the Whiskey Musings broadcast. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And like I said, we'll see you on Wednesday. Good night, everybody.